All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott from Jeff Teaches Programming. I'm in the middle of creating this vanilla Java BMI or Body Mass Index program. And I have completed the BMI state.java file, and I'm in the middle of the main.java file. And now it's time to build the totals dialog here. So this is the modal show totals dialog that will come up on demand. Now what I hope is going to happen here, just so you know, I'm going to do probably 2 more lectures and then try to run this. My guess is, because of the way I type, there'll be 1 or more errors. So I'm going to go and fix those errors and then hopefully have one last video where I present the completed project. And once I do that, then I will go and add that to the GitHub repository. So this dialog is going to be a separate little window that's going to pop up when we need it, when we tell it to. Oops. Sorry. All right, we're going to have a panel that's going to hold the title, the 4 total rows, and the close button, and they'll all be stacked vertically. Oops. Of course, it's going to be a little low. There we go. Again, we'll put a little spacing in here. And again, that's just so this doesn't look so cramped. Let's have a heading at the top of the dialog. Remember, this is an overlay, so we'll call it overlay title. Let's center it. Let's add the title. And again, some spacing. All right, now what doesn't it like? Oh, semicolon on the end would be nice. Now for each BMI category, we need the state. So in other words, we need to know how many of each type there are. So how many total underweight, total overweight, etc. So I'm going to put this in 4 times. So add totals to the dialog, and this will be totals box dot add totals row. We'll start with underweight, state dot get total underweight. Oops. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit. It's my own code, so it's not really cheating. Wondering why it's giving me the error here. Not sure, but hopefully it'll work its way out. We'll see. All right, so first we'll need underweight, and then we will need optimal weight. Then we will have overweight. And finally, we will have obese. Okay. I'm trying to figure out well, not sure what the problem is here, so all right, let's add a close button. All right. Now we want to make sure we put our stack panel in the center region of the dialog, in the center of the border layout. All right, so we're going to do that. Let's not make it resizable. Just like the main window, we got to do a pack here to size the dialog to fit its contents. And we'll also set up a minimum size. Oh, put that on 2 lines. Let's center it to the actual centering. Relative to the main window. And finally, we will return the dialog. All right. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to create a helper method. And this is going to build a role of the totals dialog, category, the name on the left. So in other words, it's going to set it up the way we want it to be. So this is a helper method to handle the totals rows. Now we're getting not getting an error, but we have to return something at the end. So at the end, we're going to return the row. It's giving us an error because we haven't created it yet. So let's do that now. Now we're using generic names here, and hopefully you understand why, because we have 4 different things that we're putting in here. All right, so we're going to be passing in the label text and the value. So one time it'll be, underweight, and then the total underweights, and then optimal weight, the total optimal weights, then overweight, and the total overweights, then obese, and the total obese. And add a little bit more padding in here too, as soon as we fix that. And return the row. So what's left to do? Well, quickly what I'd like to do, let's see where I am for time. At 15, so I have enough time to do this. I want to add, I'm going to start adding the actions. So first we're going to have a helper that's going to convert a string into an integer. And if the string isn't a valid number, for instance, if it's empty or we put in something we shouldn't, or even as a decimal point, we'll simply return null. All right, so let's do that next. Then we'll do the actual actions we define up above. So that's if it succeeds, right? But we want to catch a number format exception. So again, that's basically going to be if we leave it blank or we put in something non-numeric. We don't want the system to crash. We're just going to return null. All right. So what I want to do in the next one is, these are the ones that we've already created, so to speak. So I'm going to have the private void on calculate. That's going to be an action event. E. We're going to create that in the next lecture, so don't worry about it now. We're going to have another one. These are all the ones that we defined earlier. And we're also going to have a helper that does a pop-up, gives an alert message when we're validating. Why? Because that's what we did in the JavaScript version of this program. All right, and then finally, we're going to have our public static void main. We'll put in the args. We don't need them. We're not using anything here, so darn it. Hate when it does that. So this is what we've got to do yet, is to add the onCalculate, the onClearForm, the onOpenOverlay, the showAlert, and then our main. Once we get done with that, we're going to attempt to run the program. My guess is I probably have made typos in here at one place or another. So I'll do a screen dump of the errors that I get, try to debug it, and come back, hopefully with just one more lecture, and then we'll be finished with this one and we can go on to the payroll program. See you then.